Good morning, and welcome to the CyberSmart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Friday, August 16th, 2024. We are flying through August, and summer is almost over, but that means that football is soon around the season, soon around the corner, so that is a good thing. I am your host for the CyberSmart Morning News Update, Darren Mott, retired FBI Supervisor Special Agent, author of the book, Get CyberSmart, a user-friendly guide to protecting your family, your business, and yourself online. And I thank you so much for taking the time to download and listen, and if you would be so kind to make sure to subscribe or share the podcast with others who may also be able to subscribe. That does nothing other than make me know that people are interested and I can continue to do this crazy stuff that I do. As it's Friday, that means it's Opinion and Education Friday. I know op-ed stands for opinion and, what does the E stand for? It does not stand for education. It stands for editorial, opinion editorial, sorry. But in my case, it's opinion education because I have a lot of opinions and I like to teach. So for this, as I was coming up with what I'm going to talk about this Friday, I'll be honest with you, I was a little lacking in topics to think of. It's been a crazy week, but I figured, well, why not I just read a story from my book, because I've done this a couple of times and it seems to get pretty good traction. So this one is an interesting one. It's a topic, it's the last chapter of my book, and this is the story that leads off that chapter, and that chapter has to do with staying on top of cyber threats. As you know, my tagline at the end is understand the threats targeting you so you can assess your risk, proceed wisely. I've been saying that for 4 years now. And so how do you do that, right? You have to be aware of the ever-changing threat environment or risk environment that cyber poses to all of us. So staying engaged with new technologies, new threats, is the key, really, to staying cyber smart. And this particular chapter is called Adapting to the Cyber Landscape, the Key to Staying Cyber Smart. And so I'm going to read the story that starts this. And I will say, every one of these chapters has how this chapter will help you. So that, like, for example, for this chapter will help you learn the importance of staying informed about current cyber threats and best practices, recognizing the value of attending cybersecurity awareness trainings to stay educated about the latest cyber trends, learn how to utilize free online cybersecurity guidelines and resources to improve cybersecurity posture, realize the significance of sharing knowledge and resources with families, friends, and colleagues to create a cyber smart community, and identify the importance of keeping an open mind and adapting to new cybersecurity challenges in an ever-changing cyber landscape. So that's kind of what this particular chapter will tell you. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm just going to read the story at the beginning and kind of mention why I said it. Now, this one was interesting. It's a personal one because it even happened to me. And I actually had a friend who read the book who even said that he liked this story because it showed that even me, who pays attention to this stuff all the time, can even be tricked every now and then. So here's what this particular story is about. As a retired FBI Special Agent, the lessons learned from years of dealing with cybercrime were deeply ingrained in my mind, and I talked about the importance of being cyber smart in presentations, on podcasts, and on social media sites like LinkedIn. I've spent countless hours educating others about the dangers of cyber threats, warning people about the potential risks and pitfalls of online interactions. Sometimes, even I am susceptible to clever messaging. It all started when I took a post-retirement job. I wasn't actively seeking another job, but then I received a message on LinkedIn from a gentleman claiming to be putting together a team for a project. He said he thought I could be a good fit and asked for my resume. I did some basic research, looked at the company, and thought, what's the harm in sending over my resume? So I did. The gentleman came back and said he sent my resume to the hiring team, but they needed it in a different format. I thought, no big deal. Send him over a new format. Then he said it needed to be in yet another format and directed me to a website where they could reformat it appropriately for me. I was not tremendously surprised by this, as in the past, I have had problems with online resume upload sites, so this made sense to me. And this is not part of the story, but I'm going to cut off of this a little bit. So I've had this before, where you try to enter a resume into a job thing online, and it just won't accept the resume, and you have to manually input stuff. So this is why that made sense to me. Anyway, the service, quote unquote, at this site claimed that for $89, they would modify my Word doc formatted resume into the format requested by the company. I paid the $89, received my newly formatted resume, and sent it to the hiring team. After I sent my resume to the hiring team, I suddenly heard nothing back. They had ghosted me. It turned out that the website was a complete scam, and I had fallen right into their trap. Luckily, I had used PayPal to make the transaction, and I realized within 6 hours that it was a scam. I reported it to PayPal and was able to get my money back. I was fortunate. I didn't lose any money, but I easily could have. As I reflected on my experience, I realized that this could have ended much worse. I made a promise to myself to be more cautious in the future. I learned that even innocuous requests could lead to trouble, especially when they start asking for monetary gain. I swore to myself, in a good way, to always do deep due diligence and to never fall for such a scheme again. The experience became a valuable cautionary tale. It taught me that no one's immune from becoming a victim of cybercrime. Even the most vigilant and well-informed individuals can fall prey to these schemes. The lesson is clear. Always do your research and be wary of requests that seem too good to be true. It's a dangerous world out there, and we must always be vigilant to protect ourselves from falling into these traps. On the plus side, I was able to use the story in a social media post on LinkedIn and found out that many people had suffered a similar fate or had recently received a similar email and were thankful for me sharing the experience. And then I talked about what I'm going to do in this chapter. So it's an interesting story. Honestly, I looked at the company that sent it, and as I dug deeper into it, there was a lot of stuff on it that was fishy. I was just kind of in a hurry. Didn't really see the harm in sending my resume, so I didn't spend a lot of time looking at it. So learn from me. Don't, pay attention when people are asking for information, especially a resume, things like that. And be careful where you look, right? Because there's threats around every corner, be it work scams like this, resume scams, as this was the case. And since then, I've gotten several other similar messages like this. I get them on my text message. They come from all over the place. And once you see them, they start to become very, very noticeable. And that's kind of the good thing for staying on top of all these things is once you start to realize what the scams look like, it's very easy to identify them moving forward. There's tons of these on LinkedIn where you get I get these a couple times a week where it's usually a woman in the picture and says, hey, I'd like to, your resume is, your LinkedIn profile is fascinating. I'd like to learn more from you. That's a completely cryptocurrency scam. And so I always engage them, but usually I engage them to say, go scam elsewhere. And some of them try to convince me that they're not scammers, but it's kind of humorous, quite frankly. Not that I recommend that particular approach to everyone, but it's kind of the route I take. If you'd like to hear more stories like that, you can get the book, Get Cyber Smart, a user-friendly guide to protecting your family, your business, and yourself online. On Amazon, just look for Darren Mott or look for Get Cyber Smart. In this case, cyber is actually spelled C-Y-B-E-R, the right way. I was going to use the way I spell it, C-Y-B-U-R, which again is a branding thing that if you want to find out why I do that, you have to go back and listen to a previous podcast. But I do that simply because I did it because a lot of people reviewed it and said, well, no one's going to find it if you spell it the wrong way, so that's why it's spelled the way it is. With that, I'm going to let you go into your weekend. This is a short podcast for today. Like I said, didn't have much to talk about. I should, right? There's plenty of stuff going on, but it's been a long week so far. I still got to get through Friday. I hope you get through your Friday, and I hope your weekend is great. I'm going to play pickleball on Saturday. It should be fantastic. If you have thoughts, comments, questions on the podcast, email me, Darren@thecyberguy.com. If you'd like me to be on your podcast to talk about cybersecurity, I'm happy to do that. I also keynote speak at conferences. If you have a conference that you need a speaker for, my rates are very reasonable because they are zero. So I should ask for more, but I have imposter syndrome. If anybody can get me past that, I would love to hear from you to help me out with that. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend. Know that knowledge is protection. If we understand the threats targeting us, we can assess our risk. Proceed wisely. Have a great weekend. We'll be back again on Monday because I'm pretty sure the cybercrime problem will not solve itself over this weekend. Be well.
Cyber Smart Morning News is written and produced by Cyber Guy Productions. Feel free to email thoughts, comments, or suggestions to Darren@thecyberguy.com or follow Darren on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/DarrenMott. Thanks for listening.